A real mix in sentiment there from voters. Unsurprisingly, the common theme, cost of living, Stephen Conroy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been the dominant issue. I'm hoping it's not the boats doesn't bleed into it, because those two together in Frankston and Dunkley is toxic for Labor. And I'm hoping that some of the edge has been taken off by the change in the stage 3 tax cuts. So you begin to see the message, as Andrew was saying, we're starting to do something about it. It's just the beginning. So that's the hope. But if those refugee boats, if some of the advanced campaigning about, and it was brutal, and I'm not being critical, get up, run hard campaigns, it was brutal. And it highlighted the High Court decision and the way Labor handled it, and it basically said, are any of the murderers, rapists or pedophiles in the Dunkley electorate, Prime Minister, just tell us. And that's a very powerful, simple message. They were all over the place with the vans, with those on the side of the road, driving around the roads with those sort of signage on it. And it was a brutal campaign.
I actually thought, when we'd heard a detainee had been charged with sex offences, that the Liberal Party had won the seat.
I thought that was it.
I thought the Liberal Party won the seat, and that was the most bizarre thing ever. On Thursday afternoon, when it dominated question time, to be told the cops got the wrong guy.
I'll let you on a secret. The conversation over the last 2 weeks has been, please God, don't let one of the detainees do anything in the next 2 weeks. Labor were absolutely petrified of the impact that would have in Dunkley.
And then the seat was lost, and then they were back in the game. That's how it felt within the space of 3 hours.
So, extraordinary. It's pretty damaging anyway, just to have that.
Oh, no, just the story. Oh, my God. No, I was like Andrew. As soon as I read that, I went, oh, my God, that's Dunkley gone.
Provided that cuts through. If you're a tradie in a car, you might hear it, that the bloke's been charged on the radio, but have you heard that those charges have been withdrawn?
Well, that is interesting.
That night.
That is interesting.
Because it's all happening so close. And look at the massive pre-poll numbers. Have you pre-polled, worried about boats and all these other issues before, something else has come up and crystallised, or maybe perhaps changed your mind?
But I think big pre-poll vote of nearly 30,000, Andrew, so that trend of voting at convenience and so on continues here. I've got some information from the Labor side. Their most recent polling suggested that 40% of the people that they surveyed had voted, and of that 40%, they did better in that cohort. So for us, when we look at the pre-poll, their argument is Labor thinks they did pretty well with those that voted early, not postals, but the pre-poll.
Yeah. I was going to say that what I reported earlier, their initial result 52 and then 50.5. That would indicate in itself that in the pre-poll they will do better. So it's all down to the day as to whether there's enough of a swing on for the Liberals. But those pre-poll figures, just as you've indicated, I would expect to be better for Labor.
Absolutely. It's closed, and if the more people voted early, the better for Labor, as some of the other issues or concerns bit and started to erode the margin. Absolutely.
Let's bring up the full screen now of the vote count. I just want Stephen, you've been in many of these rooms.
I was going to say, I'm getting PTSD just watching.
Just tell our viewers, what are we seeing there?
Look, we've got the workers in purple sitting down. They're the official employees of the AEC. They're sorting through, putting them into piles. The people standing up, and some of them are obviously in colours, but you're not allowed to be too overt. Their job is to make sure, firstly, the vote is formal, that it's got all the numbers. But most importantly, what they're really doing is they're the people that will call into head office and say, of the first 500 votes counted, 250 went to Labor, 180 went to the Liberals, 30 went here. So they're recording and watching a number of different things as we go. I've stood there many times with a piece of paper and a pencil, just going one for us, one for them, one for us, one for them, and just keeping a tally sheet as they go. So they're there doing a couple of different jobs.
And also making sure that, and it's human error too, that things are not going in the wrong pile. They're getting a sense of, the early mood in some of these booths. You're right, it all gets called into head office, and you can see how then you're tracking against the trend from the last election.
And
they're all